the Chinese peacekeepers. Without them, then our capacity would be much less to do what we have to do.
The UN needs China to be fully engaged.
It's an error to think, and some Westerners do, that China is trying to overthrow the world order. That's not the case.
China does not play games. China is very consistent in its policy. I do not think China is going to attack any country in our lifetime.
80 years after the founding of the United Nations, China remains a steadfast advocate of peace, dialogue, and multilateralism. As a permanent member of the Security Council, a major financial contributor, and a leading provider of peacekeepers, China has long been a key force in upholding the UN-centered world order. Now, as the world faces new uncertainties, I sat down with UN officials and global experts to explore how China has shaped the UN's past and how it could help build its future.
The greatest contribution that China has made on development in modern times is taking its own people out of poverty. Hundreds of millions of people who were once in dire straits are now leading much better lives. That's a huge accomplishment in terms of reducing global poverty. And it has cooperative measures with other countries.
The economic leadership that China's brought to Asia and Africa and to a certain degree now even in Western Europe is stunning. I saw the freeways in Uganda firsthand, and it's really opening lives and livelihoods for people in a way that cannot be measured.
On development issues, on lifting people out of poverty, on South-South cooperation, all of these things that are sometimes overlooked, I think China ensures that they are not overlooked and that they take center stage. But from where I stand, to me the biggest change has been Chinese journalists who ask questions. More present.
Globally interested.
Yeah, more globally interested. To be honest, like 10 years ago, that was not the case.
A few months ago, there were really hostilities in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon, where our peacekeeping mission is deployed, and Chinese peacekeepers remain where they were, and the other peacekeepers as well. This spirit of resilience, staying the course and standing your ground is absolutely critical in making sure that UNIFIL will stay where it was, made a huge difference.
When I was the head of peacekeeping and we had difficulties with Sudan in deploying a peacekeeping mission, China played a constructive role in convincing the government of Sudan of accepting UN peacekeepers in a hybrid mission with the African Union.
The safety and security of our peacekeepers, and China has been on the lead. Another thing that I want to mention is the support that China is providing not only to Chinese peacekeepers but also to peacekeepers from other countries in terms of training and capacity building.
I want to work on where we can use Chinese expertise on renewables to make sure that the humanitarian reset is a green humanitarian reset. And I'm very keen to work with China on disaster relief, where China has incredible expertise and has shown real impact. And I hope that we can bring that expertise and experience to the benefit of the world.
Every time I went to China, it was a culture shock. I am so proud of China. Quality education. They are investing in their youth. I wish the world will invest in Africa and the rest of the world.
So if you look at climate change, China has been the major source of backing the UN and exemplifying the UN goals by doing it for itself and then being a role model for the world.
We deeply appreciate the support being provided by China, especially to the Global South countries. We deeply value that engagement and partnership with China, and I think that is also valued by the countries where they are being supported in the spirit of solidarity and South-South cooperation.
China's newly proposed Global Governance Initiative came up as a natural topic in our conversations, an idea that has captured global attention with its vision of a fairer and more cooperative world order.
Global governance is very imperative, coming from China's position of development.
There is at the heart of that initiative a commitment to multilateralism, a commitment to a world in which we do work together to meet these global challenges. I think we do need to put people at the center of our work. We've got to reduce global inequality, which is driving so much polarization and conflict and extremism.
It's a beautiful return to the basic principles: international law, international justice, and multilateralism, a people-centered approach, a commitment to results, not just to ideals. These are very concrete enhancements and understandings of how to conduct international relations.
It's a critical time because more nations are calling for that. This is not just China calling for sovereignty equality. I think even the G7 nations are calling for sovereignty autonomy because they don't want to follow one leader anymore. Well, China is doing this is not on their own. They are reflecting what the whole world is going on.
The key principle on which this initiative is based are germane. They're consistent with what is in the UN Charter. Actually, today, in a world that is affected by too many conflicts and where the belligerent spirit too often tends to prevail over searching for a collective solution to crisis, I think recommitting to Charter and pressing upon the international community, it's the only way that we can overcome today's challenges.
Why do you think China comes up with an initiative on governance at this moment? What drives China to propose all these global initiatives?
China is now so wealthy and so large and so powerful that it knows that it has a stake in the success of the world as a whole. That is, a world that's growing, a world at peace, is one that should be good for China. And so it knows that the success of the world is going to be important for the future success of China.
I think that this policy is an outgrowth of the successes that China has seen in its local governance model. The focus of a socialist government is much more on sort of people and people's well-being. That ideological focus on how people are doing, especially vulnerable people in society, is a really powerful thing that China is able to offer to the international community.
From the Confucius is 修身齐家治国平天下. When I'm younger, of course, I've tried to accomplish things so that my parents will be proud of me, right? But as time goes on, I see there's a much bigger role I can play.
So from oneself to family to a nation, then finally to the world. It's how we were taught to grow up.
It's very natural for me. All of these things have become very natural to a Chinese person.
China needs a stable world for its own development, but the world is a messy place. That's why the structural simplicity of the global initiatives, culminating with the Global Governance Initiative, puts a structured way of thinking to this set of complex problems. China's views are both based upon core values that China has always had and the exigencies of the current situation.
As China becomes and is already a major global power, it has all the challenges of a global power. How to have influence without being domineering, how to manage its power in a way that is not intimidating, that is not alienating. All questions that big powers have to handle, and the United States have not always done it well.
There's a change happening, there's a wind blowing, and I'm asking China to take the big step. Stay strong and stay focused.
There's a willingness of everyone right now to think afresh about how we can engage in partnership, constructively, together as one. And that's what I think the world needs right now.